Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Scott's Symposium. Hi. Hi. We've all lowered our togas, got some wine, sat down in the Pantheon seats, and just nestled in. I told you last time I did this, the last one I did in season 1 of the Danger Games, I did this by myself, and I promised you that next time I would bring some of the guys to the second one, and I have doubled down on that promise, Dangerlings, for here with me are all of the rest of the Danger Club podcast.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey.
Word up.
And we are just here to gently chew the fat about some vaguely Greco-Roman topics. And we hope you enjoy listening to it. My first question to the historians and folks who are gathered around this table is, who is your favourite Roman emperor and why?
Ooh, well, I could kick this off.
Go for it.
I'm going to do probably just off the top of my head, because these weren't prepped.
No,
This
not
question.
at all.
So
I
he's
sprung this on them about 40 seconds ago.
The ones that come to mind are, I'll do a top three, but with the top one.
Amazing. Got
like
a top three.
Top three.
Brilliant.
I think Augustus has to be in there because he was, the first true emperor after, beat the triumvirate, the Pax Romana, and all this kind of stuff. 40 years of golden city building, and, the empire was running.
What's a triumvirate?
So the triumvirate, actually that was previous, wasn't it? Because that was...
he was in a triumvirate
He was-
himself. The second triumvirate is Octavian, Mark Antony,
And
Pompey.
Pompey.
Lepidus.
Oh, was it Lepidus?
The first one is Pompey, Caesar, and Crassus.
And Crassus.
There's always a shit money guy in it. Both triumvirates, there's a guy who's the old guy with the money, and then there's the other two who are actually the main eventers.
Exactly, yeah. And he emerged from that as the sole sort of emperor.
So the triumvirate was like three emperors getting along.
No, they're not emperor. The first triumvirate is a political alliance between Caesar, who is a politician and general, Pompey, who is the greatest general of his era, and Crassus, who is the richest man. One of the richest men to have ever lived, who wants to make himself super rich. And it's about the three of them looking out for each other until they gradually turn on each other and realise that Caesar, the junior partner, is playing all of them. So that's pre-empire. Because Caesar's never an emperor.
Yeah. He was he declared himself the first citizen. So he never actually said he was emperor, whereas Augustus was the first to actually say, "No, I'm the emperor now."
Yeah,
So
which he never actually did. Like he's called himself princeps. He was the first citizen. He never called himself emperor. Emperor is a term that emperor comes from imperator, which is just a military term, which is one of a bundle of titles that office held, and it's one that we as historians kind of now retroactively put on those people to just be like, that's what that was. But it was for a long time until Domitian, really. Not Domitian. Is it Domitian? No, not Domitian.
Until which mission, Dan?
No,
what mission was it?
the guy who retired to live with his cabbages.
I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Was it Tiberius?
Not Tiberius. It does begin with a D. You should know this, Colin. You know the D.
Dalmatian. Diocletian.
Diocletian.
I visited his palace in Croatia.
Oh,
that guy.
Diocletian is the one who instigates the dominate, which is the idea of the emperor as your god and master. Up until, which is relatively late Western Empire. Up until that point, the whole point of the emperor was kind of like, no, I'm just like you guys. I just have my own private army.
It's not like on films where people go like, I am going to be the emperor of this place. No one ever really thinks in those terms.
Oh no, they definitely
do. They do.
But
They do.
publicly,
It was kind of
public.
It was like an illusion. So we'll tell the public that I'm just the first citizen, buddy. No, but emperor and everything.
And Augustus was very, very good at that. Augustus benefits from a very good PR machine as well. Like he was
Who
very
is
good
his
at
PR machine?
I was in Rome the other day with Jim and trying to remember the name because I know talking about triumvirates. There's Augustus, Marcus Agrippa, his schoolyard friend, who is just a fucking shit hot general and problem solver. He built the Pantheon in Rome, but he's just like, anytime there's a problem, Agrippa just goes and fucking fixes it. He's like the ultimate best friend. But then there's another guy because we didn't prep it, I haven't had a chance to look at his name, but there's another guy who is the PR guy, he's the Alistair Campbell of Augustus's reign, and he just rewrites. He patronizes every artist. He rewrites every bit, and he makes it all. And then because Augustus is the founder of this dynasty, it becomes synonymous with how great Rome is. So for everyone from then on is like, well, it's never as good as it was under Augustus. So he benefits from all of this kind of, all of this stuff that's kind of stacked on each other.
You would say between those two competent guys, they needed another guy to keep a good Agrippa situation.
Yeah, so he's in the top 3 for obvious choices. I also got a soft spot for, is it Marcus Aurelius?
Marcus Aurelius, yeah.
Who is there he is, the first citizen in charge of the Roman Empire at its height. It had its problems, but I mean, we are talking a massive, massive empire. And he was stoic. So he was very much in belief. You still
I understand that means like you're a bit resolute and you're hard to change your mind. But I understand that back in the day that had a different connotation. Is it actually like a religion?
Sort of, kind of, more like a sort of philosophical movement sort of thing. And it's all about, Stoicism was sort of rooted in reality, and sort of you do as you would be done by. And if you're like, for instance, one of his quotes come up quite a lot on social media still. He said that as soon as you're about to criticise someone, think of the failing in yourself that most resembles that which you're about to criticise.
Oh, that's actually...
That's pretty serious.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's that kind of attitude
that's
for
therapy.
A man who had literally the world in the palm of his hands, and that's the sort of stuff he's lived by.
Because he's the philosopher emperor who spent almost his entire reign at war. Like all the things he could have done if he could have just spent his reign sitting with a book.
Yeah.
Have you read his book, The Meditations?
I did
it's
try.
It's really you can get it for free on Audible. Like there's one of these books that's like, because it's weirdly not in copyright anymore, but you can get a really shittily read version of it for basically nothing on Audible. I got it I listened to it on a plane ride once. It's really good stuff.
Yeah. No, and I've got a real soft spot for him. But, it would have been a little bit boring. I think my favourite is Claudius.
Good old Uncle Claudius.
Good old Uncle Claudius, who was never supposed to be in charge at all. He had a stutter, but they didn't think he was going to survive when he was younger. And then basically the whole family got wiped out in a sort of like a coup. And they found him hiding behind a curtain, apparently, as the legend goes. And we're like, cool, you're the emperor now. And so stuck it on. He was like, blah, blah, blah. And he actually was pretty successful. He invaded Britain. He did loads of good stuff.
It was him who invaded Britain. I thought Caesar did that.
Caesar showed up and Caesar managed to land on it, made some treaties with the local tribes saying, so you're part of Rome now. And they were like, yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, fine, whatever. Yeah. He was like, okay, cool. So we're just going to, can we go? We can go, right? Because we conquered you. And they're like, yeah, fine. Go.
Yeah.
And so he left and just never went back.
And then take fistfuls of stones or something.
Caligula
There was 3
made
of them
the whole army went there, spent their entire time collecting seashells, and then returned back to the mainland. And it was all about like, look, we have seized Neptune's boon from the Britons, and it was like, you're mental, mate, because he was. But no, he did loads of good stuff, and apparently on his deathbed, he said, I've made a mess of it. And he didn't actually, but he was just this sort of humble, should never have been there, actually did a really good job. And I've got a real soft spot. And if you've not seen it, the BBC adaptation of I, Claudius, Derek Jacobi is still really good.
Even if Patrick Stewart with hair is a little unnerving.
Unnerving. And you see a lot of faces. You've got Brian Blessed, Patrick Stewart, John Hurt. Like literally, it's a masterclass of
Patrick Stewart as Sejanus, one of my favourite Roman characters. I love Sejanus.
So I would say my favourite is probably Claudius.
Nice.
Great.
There you go.
Dan, favourite? Final word on favourite?
All right. I will throw in one for Augustus, just because it's great. I went to the mausoleum of Augustus the other week and was there, and just because it's one of my favourite places. It's the burial place of so many of the emperors. It's not just his mausoleum; it's where all the emperors were buried. And then it fell into disarray. It's been demolished. It's been knocked down and rebuilt, and so many times. But right now, it's been neglected for so long. It's just overgrown, and it's just got a bit of like temporary, not even like a proper fence, like the kind of fence you put around a building, like around roadworks. It's had that around it. And I was there in 2016, and there were all of those billboards about the wonderful things they were going to do for it. And then I went back there this spring, and there are the exact same billboards still around it. And Rome still hasn't got around to doing anything with it. I love that. I'll give a shout out to Julian the Apostate, because it's just a fucking cool name.
It's a cool name.
And he's Julian the Apostate was the person who tried to bring polytheism back after post Constantine. So he's the only survivor of the viper's nest that is Constantine's next generation. Like Constantine was incredible emperor in terms of like bringing an empire together, but like Augustus, he could not put a fucking succession plan together. Augustus' problem was that all the people he picked kept dying, and so he just ended up without anyone good to pass the empire on to. Constantine had no plan whatsoever and basically raised all of his sons to be these fucking Game of Thrones little bastards who the second he was dead turned on each other and just murdered the entire extended family. Julian is the one person who, through luck more than anything, survives it all and tries to then steer the Roman Empire back away from Christianity to back to the old gods. And then he cops a spear in the Middle East. Purely accidentally. He ran out of his tent because he heard the battle was going, wanted to be seen to be getting on the front line, and just took a spear because he didn't put his armor on. Which is
Dramatic
why,
AF.
yeah, always put your armor on, no matter how much the DM is telling you it's a frightening thing. Just don't put your fucking armor on. But the things that could have changed if he had stayed in power are interesting. And top one, I'll go for Lucius Verus, who goes alongside. Lucius Verus is the lesser-known co-emperor alongside Marcus Aurelius. When Marcus was made emperor, it was by his stepfather. It was all kind of big sort of set-up plan by Hadrian. Was it Trajan? One of them, to get him in charge. And basically, he was allowed to become emperor on the condition that his stepfather's birth son also got to become emperor. And Lucius Verus is like the party emperor, and he's this fucking bonehead who just travels around leading battles that he cannot possibly lose. Like, he gets given the easiest assignments, he wins them, he comes back and he adds another thing to it. By the end of it, his name is like, it's longer than fucking Bouboulai's name. His name is just the list of countries he thinks he's conquered because he was there, and then he goes back and just gambles on chariots. But by all sense, he's not cruel. He's not like a Nero or some of that, where he elevates his idiot friends to positions of power, or a Tory, and he doesn't put idiots in charge. People say, "Oh no, this is how we run it," and he's like Disney. He's like, "Oh, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing, but you seem to. Okay, you run this. That's fine. I'll just have a party." And by all accounts, Marcus Aurelius, who did all of the work, just fucking loved his idiot brother and was just like, "How's it going, Lucius? Yeah, keep having a party. It's great." And he just lived a great life and sort of did all right. And I just really like that. And he's on the column of Marcus Aurelius and all of that. And I just love that this fucking chancer kind of makes it into the historical record in this really important time.
Nice.
So there you go. A deep dive on emperors.
Don't you want to know who my favourite emperor is?
Nope. So did you?
Emperor's New Groove.
Nice.
Nice.
It's a good one.
It
Yeah.
makes me feel better. I don't have one. I think they're all assholes.
Hey!
Did you know? Go on, Colin.
I was just going to say, I like Hadrian's Wall, but
Yeah.
Well,
that doesn't mean I like Hadrian.
Special mention to Hadrian, he did bring in beards.
He did.
He made beards very popular.
Beards very popular.
Yeah.
Beards and walls.
You can't keep doing these
There you
special
go.
mentions, guys. I feel like you're getting in extra votes in the Senate. Okay.
Beards and walls. There you go.
He also deified his teenage boyfriend.
Oh yeah.
And at one point, the cult of Hadrian's gay lover was overtaking the cult of Jesus Christ in terms of popularity. You imagine like Civilization games early on, where you've got like the religion score going up, and in a moment that one is creeping up a little bit until it gets overtaken.
There you go.
So, did you know, moving the lens from Rome to Greece, did you know about the legendary Greek monster Typhon? Have you ever heard of Typhon?
I have heard of Typhon, but
name.
I don't know. Was it?
Nah.
Is he a disease?
No, but there is. Okay, so there's a rough link to what you're saying. Typhon's this legendary Greek monster who was born of the Titans and who hated Zeus, who was obviously head of the Olympians, right? They had epic battles. And I'm talking, this was a late intro 90s character that was made for death, killing, and being extra and edgy, because he defeated Zeus. I think he pulled one of Zeus's arms off. It was very 90s kind of stuff. Born from the Titans, although one story allegedly has it that it was Hera, the long-suffering wife of Zeus, who gave birth to him herself. jealous apparently that Zeus gave birth to Athena by himself, because that's how Athena came around. Apparently, she just prayed to Gaia, prayed to Uranus, and then slapped the ground really hard, and she became pregnant with Typhon. So there's something to bear in mind.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, issues of fertility. But yeah, he fought Zeus and won. There was a lot of limbs pulling off, but not for Typhon. And I wanted to tell you, Ross, this, because he didn't get his limbs pulled off because his limbs were made of snakes.
Were they 24 inches?
They were bigger than that. I mean, the battles depicted with Typhon and Zeus are fucking ridiculously epic. They're like, he has to get the entire gods on board to defeat him a second time. Like, he's a mad force of nature. He reminds me, I was going to ask you, he reminds me incredibly so much. Who's the guy who kills Superman the first time round? The one
Doomsday.
from Krypton. Thank you. I've been trying to remember that name all fucking day. Doomsday turns up, breaks Superman, right? So that's essentially what happens.
Wow.
Typhon turns up, nukes Zeus. Zeus gets better eventually, and then they go and fight him all together. Which leads me nicely to my final bit, which was, you probably all know this, but the DC superheroes are all based directly on Greek gods. Not just like has a little bit of inspiration, as in they are allegedly definitely meant to be.
Right.
Do you have any guesses what they are who they match up with first before I go and name them?
I mean, I know Hawkman's one of them.
I mean,
Yes.
it's
Zeus has got to be
Zeus.
Zeus or yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't personally see that, but there is a lot of Zeus in Superman. Like, he's the leader. Like,
It's
he's
the
I know what you
sort of
mean.
lightning slash lasers.
Kind of,
You've got, and he is just, undoubtedly, he's the one who can
Helios
dump
is-
up
I mean,
all of the other.
or Shazam's got a lightning and a...
I thought that would be way more.
Shazam's not original DC though.
Oh,
isn't
is he not?
Shazam's one of these
okay.
properties they bought up later and has been kind of
Okay.
integrated into
Right,
the
all right.
DC.
Helios is Flash. Or the messenger.
That was Apollo.
Apollo.
Yes, so actually, more people have Green Lantern down as Apollo, god of light.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
Apparently,
Okay,
yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
see it. No, the Flash you're thinking of is Hermes, the
That's
messenger
it,
god.
yes.
Right.
Fast as a Flash, because Flash literally wears wings on his feet, on his chest.
Yes.
So yeah, Wonder Woman gets Hera. Now, I'm just going to put this out here. Hera gets a damning indictment across most Greek texts by just being Zeus's long-suffering, jealous wife. She's actually got a really cool power set, and she's got like a chariot pulled by peacocks. It's pretty cool, but she does get sidelined a lot by Zeus's actions. So basing Wonder Woman, who's like, one of the original three, like pretty much a god in her own right, on Hera, I feel is, whilst Batman gets Hades, all right?
I feel that's really stretching it.
Yeah, it's a stretch, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is somebody's thesis where they really didn't have a good topic to run off.
That was allegedly the original thing. Like, they had Batman, Hades, god of the underworld, who has to work with Zeus against their enemies every now and then Wonder Woman gets Hera. And then everyone just sort of moves on from that and goes, but have you heard about Hawkman, who's definitely Ares, the god of war? Which is very interesting, I think kind of fits. But yeah, the rest of them I'm not so sure about.
Hawkman is the god of war.
Yeah, well, there's kind of backing for that. He comes from a war, doesn't he? The bird people are having a big war. He's very aggressive. They take that quite far in the comics. I mean, yeah, I didn't say this. I didn't say this.
No.
Why are you saying this, Scott? Why are you saying this?
Comes back to life a lot. He got many lives.
Yeah, maybe.
And obviously Aquaman's Poseidon, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that's fairly obvious.
Everyone
Do
needs
you know
a
what? I
fish
didn't make
guy.
that connection. That's weird. I'll be silly alive.
But that'll about sum it up, I think. Dangerlings, if you have any opinions on who the DCU characters should be, tell us, and then maybe I'll use a comparison. I'll hold them up to a mirror in the Danger Games when these guys finally meet the gods and they can behave like an asshole Batman if they aren't already. But anyway, from the Symposium, thanks very much for listening.
Thanks,
Hope you have a-
Dangerlings. Bye.
We'll have another episode out next week. Bye.